Our group is Oceania, and this is our presentation. My name is Trista. I am introducing each of them. The first one is Australia. It's the first one, part of the region as well. It borders the Indian Ocean and Southern Pacific Ocean. They're ran by a chief of state and a prime minister. In 1770, James Cook came and claimed it as for Great Britain, naming it the New South Wales. In 1901, they formed their 6 states and passed their anti-immigration laws. And then in 1948, they became their own and claimed their independence. They also encouraged immigration from Europe, bringing in over 2 million people and just avoiding unskilled workers for their immigration laws. Now they're known for being a nation of immigrants. Their top exports are ores, oil and mineral fuels. Their top industries are mining, transportation equipment, food, and chemicals. The colonization overall resulted in inequity and racism through the people, since it was different cultures all coming together. The island cultures were disrupted as well. They became part of the modern society, but also ever-changing. Also, they're held against certain rules affecting their lives and creating a separation. The next country that we chose is New Zealand. It is located in the southern western of the Pacific Ocean. They have 2 main land masses, as well as other smaller countries. They're also ran by a chief of state and a prime minister, which is their king and queen. They became part of the British Dominion as well, but in 1901, and then gained their independence 46 years later. They're most successful with their dairy farming, which takes over a lot of their exporting, over 20% of their exports. Their top industries are food, wood, and paper, and textiles and machinery. They're new and developing as a country, so they struggle with high unemployment rates. Also, with wars, they lost a lot of land, reducing to poverty, overcrowded population, and unhygienic conditions. The next country that we chose was Fiji. It is a tropical island in the South Pacific Ocean. They have over 300 islands as a whole. Their government is a little different. They run as a republic with a president and prime minister. In 1874, Fiji also became a part of the British colony and then claimed their independence in 1970. Their top industries include tourism, sugar, clothing, and copra. And although the country is doing well now after colonization, there are also outbursts of diseases such as measles, with the new populations coming together. They're one of the most developed countries of the Pacific Islands, and the independence was a huge motivator for their development in response to pressure and demand. Fiji has overall stuck to their own traditions, maintaining a rich culture.
Hi, my name is Sharia, and I will be sharing on globalization. The 3 main aspects are the political, social, cultural, and economy. So first, we're going to look at the political aspects. So for Australia, their government type is a federal parliamentary democracy and commonwealth realm. This is more of a traditional system, and they have a regional trade bloc with the APEC and the TPP. They have 7 sovereign parliaments, and none of these can interfere with each other's functions. They are a constitutional monarchy with the well-ranking within their financial freedoms, their monetary freedoms, their judicial systems that all impact their trading freedoms. Then we look at New Zealand. So their government type is also a parliamentary democracy and commonwealth realm, but it is not a traditional system. They have no supreme law or documents within their constitution. The WTO has really impacted them within their trading policies and adjustments, and has impacted their external interactions with each other. Then we look at Fiji's government type. They are republic, which this eliminates the race-based electoral roles within each other. They have no regional blocs, and they are threatened within the free trading systems of sugar and garments, because this is 2 of their top industries. Then we look at the social culture aspect of globalization. So Australia's main culture is Western culture. They are very much so open-minded and open-hearted. They really value strong relationships within each other. New Zealand's is more global-minded. They are very kindly and friendly with each other. They have a high tolerance and they have a strong importance of sharing meals with each other. Fiji is also a very welcoming and kind country. They have a strong social structure within social roles, especially within their families of each other. They have a strong heritage within their customs and their religious practices, and as a whole within these three countries, they all are in the same region, and they are separated because there's no other land that is connected to them by other regions. US and Great Britain have strong impacts within them through immigration. Then we look at how this influences their economy. So clearly Australia and New Zealand have more in common with each other, and this also has to do with their government types. So Australia is a high-income developed country, as well as New Zealand. Australia is the largest median wealth country in the world. Their top imports are mining, industrial, and transportation, equipment, and they have a high export rank of about 90%. Then we look at New Zealand. They have a high export rank of about 68%, and Fiji is still a developing country. They are considered to be developed, though, when you look at the island economies within each other. Fiji does trade with Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand, so they all kind of work together. They have a 15% export rank, so that's not as high, but all three of these countries have about a 5% unemployment rate, which is very good and shows a strong economy.
My name is Wilson. However, these slides were made by our coworker Shaylee, who unfortunately is not able to make it here today. Her topic was foreign franchises that moved into Australia and benefited from their globalized economy. So the first one, we have Nando's Chicken. Nando's was originally founded in South Africa in 1987 and basically sucked until it came to Australia. They went bankrupt shortly before, and they decided to completely restructure everything to fit Australia. Within the first year, they profited 80 million, which if you've ever seen Shark Tank, is a very, very good profit margin. Next up, we got Starbucks going to New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is huge for coffee drinkers. They do not like British, so they don't like tea. So coffee is really what they got to do. So it did great in New Zealand. And then lastly, the company DHL Express, which was started in San Francisco, moved over to Fiji, and ever since then they have been doing great numbers, profiting all the way through COVID.
And my name is Tommy. I'll be talking about multilateral organizations. And what multilateral organization is an organization formed by 3 or more countries with the goals of addressing issues of common goals throughout the entire world and on a global priority. And some examples of multilateral organizations would be the UN, the United Nations, and the World Trade Organization, or the WTO. And the UN, they address, they ensure international peace, and Australia is a big contributor to the United Nations. They ensure that the world has peace, and they send a lot of troops and personnel for peacekeeping operations all around the world. And as for New Zealand and Fiji, they also send troops and personnel for those peacekeeping operations as well. And then as for the World Trade Organization, they were formed in 1995, and they just ensure that the world has smooth trade with no restrictions or discrimination. And Australia and New Zealand were actually 2 founding members when it was founded in 1995. And then 1996 was when Fiji decided to join the World Trade Organization. And then some effects of multilateral organizations is the United Nations, of the United Nations, Australia, they ensure world peace again, and rights and sovereignty all across the world. And then New Zealand, again, sending troops and personnel all across the world. And then as for the World Trade Organization, imports and exports have no restrictions and discrimination. And then New Zealand, they are a relatively small economy, and they take advantage of kind of like being in the World Trade Organization, and they get cheaper imports through that. And then as for Fiji, they are very, very small, and they just get access to goods and services, and as well as being a part of the World Trade Organization, they can take advantage of that and address their poverty situation and just get reduced poverty through agricultural trade.
Alright, up next we have the benefits of globalization. So globalization basically acts as a stimulus to a country's economy. You go from having a very small, centralized, narrow mindset economy to being able to explore companies and consumers all over the entire world. So for Australia, once they were able to get out of British control, their economy exploded. They are able to export an insane amount of ores, minerals, farm products, anything basically coming from the land, you name it, they're able to export it. It also decreased the poverty line for Australia and Fiji, being able to bring out more consumers for their products as well as implement new job opportunities. Fiji, being a smaller country itself, globalization actually allowed them to be able to import more goods and products that they wouldn't normally be able to make in the island country itself. Because of this, and because of the extra popularity of Fiji being a very beautiful country, their main source of income has actually turned into tourism. Because of this, they're able to afford all the imports that they are buying. And for New Zealand, they also expand the exports there, sorry. New Zealand's top exports are going to be dairy, as well as nuts and other things coming from the land. Because of this, same thing with Australia, their economy just exploded from it. If we got the good side of the globalization, we gotta look at the bad side. So, because of all the brand new transportation and everything coming around these beautiful countries in the oceanic region, the gases and the waste coming from all of the transportation have actually been detrimental to the environment for both Fiji and Australia. If you've ever heard of the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia, it's slowly been dying over the years due to the gas and oil pollution in the water. As well as threatening jobs. The new age Western automation through robotics and other technological advancements have been slowly threatening jobs in Australia. A new poll done by the Australian government has found that 9% of jobs are going to be killed off due to automation in the next couple of years.
Hello, my name is Troy, and I'm doing exports and imports by country. So for Australia, their leaders in exports and imports are both China. Imports are around 240 billion, while exports are 260 billion. For New Zealand, their leader is China, and for both exports and imports, their exports are around 40 billion, while their imports are around 32 billion. They export materials such as oils, machinery, and woods. And for Fiji, their leader in exports is the United States, while importing is for Singapore. For the United States, they import goods such as beverages, drinks, and that's beverages, but drinks and oils as well. And we have how the exchange rates influence trade. So typically, the higher the exchange rate, that means the more purchasing power that country will have with another country. So as you can see, Australia and New Zealand have very high exchange rates for the Chinese yuan, which means their imports will be greater than their exports, and similar to Fiji to the Singapore dollar.
Hi, I'm Spencer, and I'll be talking about the free trade agreements between each country. Australia has the trade agreement between the United States, majority of Asia, including Thailand and Singapore, such countries as that, and New Zealand as well. New Zealand also has trade agreements with 16 different World Trade Organization members, and they just got a new FTA with the United Kingdom on February 28, 2022. Fiji, they have the textile, clothing, and footwear industry that benefits a lot of Australia through the South Pacific Regional Trade and Economic Cooperation Agreement, and the Pacific Island Countries Trade Agreement between 14 different countries, as well as what they have for the free trade agreements. And this information was taken by the International Trade Administration, published July 31st, 2022.
All right, my name is Tucker, and I'll be presenting the last slide about why we chose Australia, Fiji, and New Zealand. Australia is one of the most multicultural countries in the world. It is home to the world's oldest continuing culture. Australia has a highly skilled workforce and has a proud history of democracy and a stable government. Australia is a nation forming the Commonwealth of Australia. 1 year later, Australia became one of the first countries in the world to give women the right to vote. Fiji is some of the most friendliest and generous people on the globe. They're nationally recognized for their welcoming culture for those who have the privilege of spending time with them in their country. Additionally, they're an incredibly proud nation if anyone's ever seen their national anthem before rugby game. Lastly, New Zealand is another country that is home to some amazing rugby talents. They are known for their sacred Maori culture that dates back to the 13th, 14th centuries. New Zealand is also known as one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Something that all three of these countries have in common is that Christianity is their largest practiced religion. Thank you.